so smooth.
And
I thought it was.
As this goes along, and you've done it for what, 20 years?
I know it's 20 years.
Oh my
spring.
It's
I looked back in
20
the record in the vault.
years.
I know.
And is
Good.
this your last meeting that you'll
This
be?
is my last meeting.
And we will miss you.
Well, thank you all.
And thank you.
It's been quite an adventure over the years with all the different zoning administrators.
I can say I refer to your minutes a lot. They're
Oh,
just
Thank you.
You
Thank
do
you.
this.
issues. If you have to.
You may change your mind.
Issues if you have to.
I'm sorry to try.
She said
That's
that.
from my, you want another one in, but yeah, you didn't have one yesterday.
Oh, So, Ryan, is that all that's online? You just bring in?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to be sure. Thank you.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, that's really good. And the most important one tonight, math this point, this is for you.
I'm not sure of that. I mean, so to see.
That's the most important thing for me to do tonight. So I apologize to everyone who heard me yesterday and Grace night. My husband and I have lived in Weathersfield since 1997. This is my husband, Randy. And we've lived on Gravelin Road since 1999. And on August, I'm very nervous about this because I love my community and I have a lot of fondness and respect for everyone on this board and in this room. And I'm doing this not in a spirit of criticism, but in a spirit of we are a town and we need to care for each other and we need to support and protect each other. And be a better board. And there are a lot of things here that I was not aware of, even though I've actually served on the DRB for 3 years. So on April 14th, I came before the DRB as an applicant. Randy and I are subdividing our land. We're downsizing as he just retired and I'm planning to retire. And we need to downsize as we move into our retirement years. Diana, did you get one of these?
No,
And does anyone else want one?
thank you.
And so on April 14th, 2 people had hearings, ourselves and Camilla Whittemore on Upper Falls Road. And Camilla was also subdividing family land that had been in the Whittemore family for a long time. And she came with her brother Ed Whittemore. And that was April 14th. On April 15th in the morning, I got an email signed by Ryan Gumbart with his correct title and the town seal on it. And extremely detailed information about the zoning application that Randy and I had submitted, saying that the fee was $4,500 and the application could not proceed until the fee was wired. That was on April 15th. On April 21st, I wired the funds from our checking account. On April 23rd, I called Ryan to say, have you received the wire? And he said, what wire? There isn't any such fee. I immediately called my bank. The money was gone. They had followed the correct wiring procedure. I called the Windsor County Sheriff and it was handled by Officer Joshua Esty, who did a great job of handling it. And then the third phone call I made within half an hour after I called the bank and the police, I called Camilla Whittemore and I said, Camilla, are you okay? I have been scammed. And she said, I got the exact same email on April 15th. And my first thought was just dismay. I'll never own a piece of our family land. I can't afford a $4,500 fee. And so I'll never get a piece of the land that my mother wanted to leave me. But then I called my brother Ed and he said, check it out, it might be a scam. And I called Ryan Cumbard at the town office. And he said, oh yeah, it's a scam. So I'd like to refer you, then I went online. Now, obviously, I'm naive about the internet, but I went online and looked at this Federal Bureau of Investigation handout. And it was sent out on March 9th. And it describes this scam in great detail. And it is a highly effective scam because it takes all the information from the actual application. The plat, the details, your name, your address, the name of your zoning administrator, the address of your town office, the town seal was on the email that I got. I forwarded the email to Ryan and later to our town manager.
Wow.
And then so now we're at April 23rd. And then I realized that nobody had hacked anything, that it was all publicly posted on the internet. That what I had naively thought were emails sent only to an email list of 19 people, the town employees, the DRB members, and the planning commission. I thought those were the only people who had access to these agendas and packets that are sent out a week or two before every meeting. But no, they weren't just PDFs sent to a mailing list of 19 people. They are publicly posted online on the town website. And Ryan was alerted to the scam on April 15th, and I wired the money on April 21st, and nobody in the town office notified me. And this is the email that Ryan sent when I sent him the PSA from the FBI, and I was kind of assuming that that would go up on the town website to warn others. And one might think that it could not get worse, but it got worse. It got really worse on May 8th. Because on May 8th, the email says, Suzanne suggested redacting contact info from applications. And I assume that means Suzanne, our human resource director here at the town. And on May 8th, Suzanne posted it on social media. She put every upcoming and past packet on Front Porch Forum. Now, it's the entire packet. It has Randy's and my name, our email addresses, our private phone numbers, our mailing address, our physical address. Every detail of where our house and outbuildings are located on the survey, it has it all. And the people I have talked to say that you don't even need a human being monitoring this, that AI can scan it all, extract the persuasive information, and create the scam email that genuinely fooled. And so on that, expect an email tomorrow.
Appreciate that, very sorry. I'm gonna hand that to our board too, so they can see it.
And I'm open to suggestions from the board and the town of how to help this. But I'm gonna make a couple of suggestions that have occurred to me. One is the third page of your handout is the actual subdivision application. And if you flip it over to the bottom of the second page, the first thing it says, the first diamond, is applications will not be considered properly filed and vested for rights of review until all fees are paid in full. And that was like identical to the language in my scam email. So I would suggest that we add what the fees are, that we make it so the applicant can't miss what the actual fees are. Because if the fees are printed on the application, then the applicant has to read it before they sign it. And then the other thing that I'm gonna suggest is that this has nothing to do with open meeting laws. That when meetings are warned, the only identifying information that goes on is the application number. That we no longer put the cell phone, oh, by the way, this opened a floodgate. You would not believe the scam emails I am now receiving now. And read. And over and over and over, we have one that I get about once a week that says my driver's license will be revoked if I don't pay my past due traffic citations to the Chittenden County Superior Court. Well, that one doesn't fool me because I know I don't have any traffic citations in Chittenden County. But this one fooled me because I actually did have an application before. Okay, that's not sad.
Grace, another thing I think they ought to put in here in large print, when they talk about payment. It probably should be bold and emphasized, we do not accept wire transfers, maybe the town should only accept checks.
Yeah,
So that nobody would, when they're looking at a payment option, it should be bold and highlighted. Yeah, we're gonna accept the wire, so then you're in that position, or if somebody else is in that position, hopefully they read that and be like, oh, well, they don't accept wires, why are they asking for wires?
thanks.
Maybe-
Add a couple seconds.
Yeah, almost, but I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry that that happened to you. And that's very courageous of you to tell us, take the time to tell us, because it can be something that's embarrassing.
Oh,
And very-
I feel like an old fool. I
Yeah,
was an old fool.
yeah, so I wanted to thank you for letting us know and to tell you that it's courageous that you have taken, your time to fill us in about it.
And I do want to say, I filled out all the forms for both, the Vermont Attorney General's office, is that it? And for the FBI, and on both of those forms, one of the questions is, are you 60 years or older? And the answer is yes, both of us are. We're not internet savvy. And we're a vulnerable group. We're considered a vulnerable group by the FBI and the Attorney General's.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Randy.
Okay. So, I'm Randy, now you Randy Brady's lived here since 1997. She spelled out in detail practical things that this board and similar arms of the government of this now should institute to protect our privacy. I come from the world of healthcare. I have privacy rules. Privacy mishandled destroys lives. We got hurt real bad. Also, if you hear of something, say something. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Do you think, in light of this, that we should get together and talk about ideas for recommendations that the board would like to make to the select board
I think
and the town manager to consider?
but aren't we doing the policy for hearings today?
No,
Is that-
but that's coming up.
Because we can absolutely add that for the DRB hearings, we'll redact all PII from permits, because we still have to, and I actually had sent Ryan an email asking about where to find permits that are in, and he had mentioned that we left them out. They're not on the records site. There's nothing on there, so you don't know if a permit is on there or not. And he mentioned because of privacy information, and then if I could, our discussion was to just put the actual permit on there, but there's still a lot of personal information on that.
Actually, they are back, cause now that I've done it, now that I know, I dug back. All the applications are on the internet, on the DRB page
Yeah.
of the town of Weathers. Back, all of the, packets, starting in 2019.
For the hearings, yeah.
And so all that information is simply out there. And I realize that Ryan has a challenge because these are large packets, so it's easy to access them on the internet, but I'd like them taken off the internet completely. Because even the supporting documents, like the surveys, have a ton of personal information on them. And I think Mike Todd is our select board chair, and I think it's a real select board issue. And I apologize to everyone who had to listen to me twice, but I said all the same things that select board thoughts to me.
No, that's okay. It's serious enough that,
I appreciate hearing it twice.
yeah, go ahead.
I spoke with Brandon, today at the meeting last night. I stated that I'd make an attempt today to get with Brandon. I had invited the forest to join me. To meet with Ryan and Suzanne in the office and have a conversation about this. Yeah, it might almost be good for you to be there. Brandon is supposed to get a hold of me tomorrow morning. To set that up. I've already let the forest know about it, but I don't know what time it's gonna be yet.
Could I defer? I actually have a day job, but he is a captain man, so he's at leisure.
Told you, once you retire.
At this time, I don't know Ryan's schedule for tomorrow, or I think Suzanne's is pretty stable in the office. I'm not sure what his it is, but Brandon's gonna get a hold of me in the morning to determine the time on that meeting. Tomorrow, so, but then we are going to take a look at some of these things.
Yeah, I can say for my part, anonymity in the actual name of the applicant and such would be completely reasonable. We should be making these decisions the same for anybody. So I feel like for my review of these things that I wouldn't need all of that identifying information in the packet.
I can just add that the public information, the state law for public information, they added to it, but it does have a designation, of course, I didn't bring it, but about protecting what is considered public identifying information. They added social security numbers and a few other things to it, but that's been required for a few years. So it's inconvenient, but there's the balance between public information, the right to know in the digital age, the things that we have to disclose. Because personally, I feel like all the permits that are put out there, we have to disclose those as a town. I have a right to know if my neighbor has applied for a permit. I shouldn't have to drive to the town hall, every single day to see if somebody might.
But you are notified by mail. If you're an abutting landowner, Ryan, you
So-
mail out the notices.
So I was not notified. And so that's a problem. However, if there's a list that says this property address, here's the permit number, this is generally what the app is, I can then know to go into the town. If, because we're doing those weekly updates, and it says these are the address numbers that have permits pending. I think the community has a right to know that, because those informational things do they get lost in the mail, I'll call it that, but there's a requirement to disclose also. So
I would hope that it would only be the physical address where the permit
yes,
permit
yes, I don't
applies
even
to,
think the name
and
is-
not the mailing address.
Yeah,
Of, for instance, Camilla Whittemore, her mailing address is in Rutland, but this was family property in Weathersfield, so
Yeah.
only the address.
just the related, and it can, there could be something limiting, and not to be extra scary, but all of our mortgages are publicly available right now too, including our signatures, et cetera, for free access on the site. None of the any portion of it's have been redacted by the town clerk.
In the town,
Yes,
in
Yes.
this town,
Yes.
are mortgages?
absolutely. On the records hub, which is, where I was looking for information and goes back 20, 30 years now, however far they've gone back. So the policy or the procedure for redacting PII has never been done, never been an issue, never addressed, because the amount of information that's online right now for this town is
Can
stunning.
can I ask the chair for a point of order? We might want to be careful about some of the information we're disseminating in an open meeting, if that's the level of. We could be inviting trouble with some of the points you're making, Andrea.
Well, but this.
I agree, I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying, you might want to be careful, some of that stuff maybe should be discussed in an executive session.
May I be recognized?
Yes,
Mr. Chair. I want to say, you know, we're a great little town, and I think the real problem here, and I don't want to go on too long. I talked to two people. I talked to my son, who's 38 years old and works in IT for Syracuse University. And the point he made is you can't keep the internet safe unless you're huge. And he used a restaurant example that maybe he would feel comfortable using the Domino's app because it's a huge conglomerate that can pay for the IT. But he said, if you're ordering from a family-owned restaurant, phone in your order and pay when you pick it up or when the delivery guy comes. He said, there is no way that a small family restaurant can keep their site safe from people's credit card numbers being stolen. And then I called my brother, who's 70 years old, and he worked for the state of Texas administering grant funding for everything from cities the size of Houston to these tiny, tiny little rural ranching communities of a few hundred. And what he said to me is once a town size is below 5,000, you simply do not have the personnel or the tax base or the resources to keep on top of everything that you need to keep on top of, including IT. And he said the only solution is to take it offline. Both my brother and my son said the only solution, if your town is small and you don't have this vast tax base and these vast resources, is to take it offline. Yeah.
Anybody else? Anything new? So, we'll take, take a poll, and then we need to move on, I think, but.
Sorry.
That last point is, Grace, I appreciate the last 2 points, because I think those are probably the most profound for us. And I don't mean to trivialize it by moving on.
No, move right along.
Yeah.
I have.
Okay. So I think, if we could, I think I'll open the hearing. Read the warning. This is, application 26.0416.TOW by Town of Weathersfield for the change of use to police station at 20 Scuffney Park Road, parcel 5A 0128. The application requires conditional use and site plan review. So for everybody who's not familiar, we have other zoning board and DRB members in the audience, and we've got select persons, so most of us will be familiar with the public meeting order, but what I'll do is we'll have several sort of procedural things that'll drag on a little bit. It can be a little frustrating when you're the applicant, but bear with me because we want to make sure we check all the boxes as we go through this. We'll have Ryan will present your application to us, I say your application. The application to us. And then we'll give you a chance to present the application, then we'll ask you general questions. I'll be entering exhibits and such. And
I don't want to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but based on the point I mentioned earlier, I would like to do a point of order at this point right now, just to amend this concern, and we can decide as a body, we'll have to vote on it either way, if I may.
that, I think that's totally fine. Go ahead. Let me just mark where I was and Andrea, please.
So my notes. So I believe that this hearing has been improperly warned. I didn't mention it to the chair earlier because based on our rules and procedure, there are several issues that I have concerns with. Number one, the warning that was just read states that the above application is available for inspection at the town office in Ascutney. This is a legal warning. And the application was not complete at that point. As a matter of fact, as part of the submissions, May 7th, they were still requesting documents for this application. And whether or not somebody requested that information is not relevant because the warning was improper in that point. And the second issue that I am concerned about is, one, we have a procedure on when you can call a hearing. Application has to be complete before a hearing can be called. All the documents have to be prepared and the application has to be paid for. The application wasn't paid for until May 7th. And our land use administrator, Ryan, has been an active role in actually completing and processing this application. He drafted the site plan and he was the main person who was gathering the documents and getting information. And as he stated, he was the middleman working on the emails. It says he was the middleman and he as working as a representative for the town. So my concern is that as a land use administrator, you cannot approve an application that you are also processing. So that should have gone to an outside third party to review and approve and then brought to us. So whether those issues mean that this hearing should be called properly, that's up to this board, but that is my concern about this meeting, because if that should go forward or if there's an appeal, this is a judicial meeting and we already have judicial legal issues with this application that it was never reviewed by an administrator.
Okay, can I summarize those and see so that I make sure I understand? So the one is the warning was not done correctly. And I'm just gonna say these as I heard them.
Yep.
The warning was not done correctly, so let's think about that for a minute. And then another thing was the application was not complete at the time of
The hearing,
the
the warning.
warning.
For the hearing,
The warning or the hearing?
the warning, the application wasn't complete
At the time of the
at the
warning.
time of the hearing was warned.
Okay, and the application wasn't paid for until the 7th,
Of May.
May 7th. And what date did the warning go out? And I'm just right, check warning. Okay, and then the fourth thing was the land use administrator preparing the application document preparations. And then also being to some extent involved in the review
No, he,
of,
not to some extent, he reviewed and approved the application that he processed and drafted.
so I just wanna, I'm just writing down.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about, did I summarize those about
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, and in terms of that list, does anybody else have any comment? I mean, we can talk about each item
Yeah,
and, but
well, I have a question. Why isn't Brandon here? He's the applicant.
So he's on the
Keeps on.
Okay. All right, so he's gonna represent the town?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Hi, I didn't know you were here.
Okay, so
Okay,
the
that
first,
clears up that.
could we discuss the first item? The warning was not done correctly. Can you describe the mechanics of the warning to us? Because when I think of hearing not being warned correctly, mostly what we've run into is the notice. Like, has there been sufficient time and was it posted?
Right.
So
So I think Andrew's concern was that the warning was posted before all the exhibits have been collected. And so, but there's a difference between the exhibits and the application. And so the application is what was received and was complete. It was paid for on 4/21, which is what the email, which is one of the exhibits, states. I confirmed that with the treasurer on May 7th. But he confirmed that the payment was done on 4/21.
Saw the others.
okay, do you feel confident, or can you talk about the warning mechanics in terms
So
of dates?
the hearing needs to be publicly noticed 15 days in advance. That puts it April 27th. I think I sent out the notice prior to the 27th. It might have been, I'll have to check my emails to get you the exact date, but it was prior to that. And we had the tear sheet with the newspaper, which is usually the last step, because I'll do the warning and then the newspaper posted a day or two after that. So if you want those dates, let me pull up the email, get those. But I believe the application, which is separate from the exhibits could be collected as late as tonight or any time before the hearing's closed. The application was complete and paid for prior to that 15-day period.
Okay, you look up the dates and we're gonna assume that we had the mechanics of the warning was done correctly. If we did the 15 days. And then the application not being complete at the time of the warning. And I am also sort of, my thought on that is that the hearing is when we actually take exhibits that become part of the documents that we form our decision on. And so historically, in my experience, we've always allowed new exhibits to be presented during the hearing, because that's when we do it. So and I think maybe to Ryan's point, like the application's there, so you get the idea of what's going to be at the hearing. But if you're not here during the hearing, then you would potentially miss certain exhibits. Does anybody want to add or discuss that particular item more?
No, I'm good with that.
Good.
I will just communicate that generally we have things put together so that he knows that you have the information in order to go forward with the hearing. But the basic information that was required to complete the application was not there. And of course you have additional exhibits. But the standard things like whether or not the application is complete. The Act 250, there were still emails going back and forth. I need this plan. So my greatest concern is that the town shouldn't be held at a different standard as any other taxpayer, any other resident that comes in here expecting.
Different treatment.
That's right.
Okay, the next point was the application wasn't paid for until May 7th. Am I correct, Brian, from my notes here that you did confirm that it was paid on the 21st.
Correct.
And so I only saw the email where you were asking about it on May 7th. I didn't see a completion, so. That it has been paid.
Any other comments about that point? And then the land use administrator preparing the application. And the idea that you're preparing something that you're gonna approve. And I think I'll share my thoughts on this one. I think in terms of, when we do, what we're here for tonight is a site plan review and conditional use review, and by the zoning bylaws, basically an applicant comes in and they say, this is what I want to do. And Ryan looks at the scope of his capacity to review that application, and by not approving this, he doesn't approve it. What he actually does is say, the development review board has to review this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but is there anything in here that you have approved?
No,
So your application would be like you would move it to us for review.
Right.
And then can you fill us in on the extent of your participation? I mean, do you feel like you've just been helping as in a technical capacity, or do you feel like there's some legitimate concern here in terms of what you're being asked?
I don't think there's a concern about conflict of interest. My basically role in preparing the information for tonight was to receive the application, determine what process it needs to go through, and gather the exhibits that I thought were relevant, as much as I could. So I grabbed a few different site plans from past permits and things like that, and prepared a map to show where I think the main thing was parking for me. There's a couple of different site plans that show different amounts of parking in different locations and things like that. So I prepared one that showed things like traffic flow, because the other site plans didn't do that. So the map that I prepared was to fill in some of those gaps, but I don't think that results in a conflict of interest, and I certainly don't have a say in whether or not the permit gets approved.
Usually part of our process is to ask the applicant to describe the application. And so Brandon, you're here as the applicant, right?
Correct.
So you'll be prepared to fully participate in this meeting as the applicant and describe the application.
Yes.
And then the development review board can ask questions of the land use administrator to clarify points about the completeness of the application.
And we also have Matt Priestley here, the owner of the building.
Yes, of course, he would, I hope, will agree to be sworn in to testify. But then in the end, it's referred to the DRB. We're the decision makers, right?
Right.
And does anybody because we've got a lot of expertise, does anybody in the audience have any comments about these points that they want to share? Okay, seeing none.
I would just add a comment that the optics of it may look better. Typically, Ryan will do a template on our deliberations. If he didn't do that, it's more work for us, but it's a cleaner separation. What does everybody think about that?
That everybody who has to do it, or everybody who has to say do it?
I'll help you do it.
So I'll just make the final comment that
Yeah.
the reason I bring it up is because it's a slippery slope. And it's something we have to be cautious of. I wouldn't approve my own permit and then send it to you with comments about, oh, it's gonna need this and we need to reference it based on X, Y, and Z. And it needs this, it doesn't need that. When you make check boxes to say what it does and doesn't need, you're making a decision. And our municipal appointment, the administrative officer shall literally administer and strictly enforce the provisions of these regulations, and in doing so shall inspect development, maintain records, and perform related tasks as necessary and appropriate. But those tasks, it says the applicant retains the obligation to identify, apply for, and obtain relevant permits. And officer shall provide the applicant with necessary forms, but the applicant is the one that's completing the forms. So that was my concern. I bring it forward because it needs to be addressed and everybody's here. That's why my point is that we're not going to cancel this meeting. I'm sure everyone will vote otherwise, but it needs to be brought forward that this needs to be cautious. This is a legal hearing.
And
And so those things have to be done appropriately.
we want,
This is so rare.
okay,
Sorry.
I was just
I'm
saying, go ahead, Ryan.
One more point about it's pretty standard practice for me to prepare some of the exhibits. I've prepared a lot of maps for applicants. If we needed to see, is there a rare threatened endangered species on a property, I'll make an A&R map and do that kind of thing. So I think my preparation of exhibits is sort of standard.
And I have the observation too, that I'm perfectly willing to ask the same questions of Ryan that I would, or I have not held back my comments about site plans in the past, and I don't expect I will tonight. So, do you think that would you like me to just rule on this, or would you like me
That's
to
easy.
put it to a vote?
You're the chair, you don't need to.
Well,
do it.
well,
You can simply
I'm just
vote.
offering it to everybody because I feel like I'm satisfied that we can proceed with the process tonight and treat the interests of the town and the board fairly. And so I would like to move forward.
I agree.
Okay, or nobody has to say okay, but give me another point of order if I should stop. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna keep going.
Thank you for hearing me.
Yeah. So, thank you. Okay, so does anybody have any potential conflicts of interest on the board? No. Has anybody had any ex parte communications regarding this application?
No.
No.
Okay. And for interested persons tonight, is there anyone here who wants to be an interested person? We have the owner. We have the applicant. Do we have any butters? No butters. And anybody who would be representing the town of Weathers. So my suggestion is that we have the town of Weathersfield via Brandon be an interested person. We have the owner be an interested person, and anybody else that we should include.
We don't provide records of the abutters being notified or. That's,
The question, do we,
Yeah. what is the procedure, who's
if they
responsible?
want to be an interested party, they need to be
No,
present.
who's responsible for notifying abutters of a hearing?
I do that,
And you did do that.
and I did do that.
Okay.
Brian, who is Lisa? That's what John is that Lisa Slade?
I don't think we need to gather all their information unless they speak.
No, but I just like to put it in the audience.
Yeah, I think what we do is on Zoom, we'll just take their whatever title is on there, and if they speak, then we'll have to get their full name.
Okay, so then, and nobody's putting their hands up or indicating in chat that they want interested person status. Okay. So I would like to make a motion for the board to grant interested person status to the applicant and the owner. And no one else.
Yeah, so moved.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
And what the interested person status does is it allows you to appeal our decision and the town to appeal our decision. Is there anyone else tonight that's gonna speak during the hearing? Or is Dave, are you guys planning to speak on this? Brandy, Mike? You're going to,
Oh, okay.
yes,
You're not gonna know this.
so,
I'll be speaking.
and Brandon
Ryan.
and Ryan. So the four of you, anybody else online gonna speak? I don't know who Maureen and Lisa are, but if you're gonna speak to the facts of the application, then we wanna get you sworn in. So I'll just yell if you want to be sworn in. So those four people, give me the following affirmation. I hereby affirm that the evidence I give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so Brandon, would you give us a summary of, we have all the exhibits, if you would just give me a summary of the application.
Yeah, so we're just looking to convert the single family residence to a police station.
Does anybody have any questions for Brandon before we? Okay, so for exhibits tonight, we have, this is a fairly long list, so I'm gonna zip through it real quick. And I've been through all of these exhibits, they all seem relatively relevant, so I'm just gonna list them real quick. Exhibit 1 is the public hearing notice. Exhibit 2 will be the administrative summary by Ryan. Exhibit 3 will be the application. Exhibit 4 will be a site plan that shows just the police station. Exhibit 5 will be Ryan's administrative review. Exhibit 6 is the A&R Atlas map. Exhibit 7 is some emails regarding police parking. Exhibit 8 is some emails with Mark regarding parking. Exhibit 9 is email from the highway department. 10 is a notice of decision from 1985. 11 is site plan for an application. 12 is a site plan from an application. They differ slightly. Exhibit 13 is an Act 250 permit from 1985. Exhibit 14 are some emails between Ryan and the Act 250 office. Exhibit 15 is the written portion of a public building permit. Exhibit 16 is a state water wastewater permit. Exhibit 17 is a one page plan from that permit. 18 are permit navigator results. 19 is a deed. Exhibit 20 is a letter regarding multi-unit complex policy from quite some time ago. Exhibit 21 are meeting minutes from May of 1986, and Exhibit 22 is the posting in the Valley News. Do we have any more exhibits?
That's all I have. I don't have anything additional.
We didn't get anything else from Act 250?
No.
Okay. You guys seen all these exhibits? Does anybody else have any exhibits to provide tonight?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, so now, does the, I think right now we would ask for any questions that we have of the applicant or the applicant's representative. And in this case, I don't know if we want to just start with general questions or if we want to go through the exhibits. That, we can do it either way.
I'd like to start with general questions.
Okay,
And I have one. Brandon, usually when Todd conducts these hearings, he says that this is your moment to make a best case for why your project matters. So why does our town need a police station? There used to be a little room off a hallway before you walked through the main office door, and that room on the right side was the police station. What has changed and why are we doing this? Why are you applying to do this?
So there's several reasons. The police department did have one office space inside the town office. Right now, that space is occupied by the listers and the assessor. And there's no other space inside the town office for a police department. There was also struggles with the police department being there in the past. So the Scottney Fire Department shared some office space with the police department for a little while until we terminated our police department and then contracted out with the sheriff's department. This building is currently not in use, and it fits the needs of the police department completely. Would it be okay if I have Craig Watrous speak more about the police department?
that's totally fine with me.
Okay, Chief.
So what we can do, is we can ask our questions and then why don't the three of you feel free to field it based on what who's best suited for it.
Okay, that sounds good, Todd. Thank you.
Thinking about the project and what was talked about, we did a site visit. And if we could, if you could give us a short summary of the building, what you're proposing inside it. And I don't mean, don't get too technical, but what you're proposing to do inside the building and then what you're proposing to do outside the building. And most of the items aren't like what kind of siding you're going to use and that sort of thing, but really thinking about the effects on the abutting neighbors and the community in general. So maybe if you could, from the police department standpoint, just describe what you're proposing around the building and inside the building. You don't need to.
You can if you want to.
Yeah.
If you'd like to, you wouldn't want to.
Am I allowed to kind of piggyback to answer her question as well? Because I think there were other things that weren't brought up.
This is, we're gonna be here for about 40 minutes talking to you. So it's totally fine to go on any point you want.
Okay, so I'll start with
Grace?
with Grace's question first. So as far as the last police department, there's kind of twofold issues that need to be addressed, and I won't speak to what was done before my arrival. There are very strict requirements as far as the storing of evidence, the storing of any protected criminal justice information, criminal histories, criminal cases, things like that. I believe having those in some here and some there and some there, you really start to run into some chain of custody issues, as well as being able to speak to the integrity of the security of that. Having it in a central location. There's also FBI requirements that manages all of the criminal justice information. Anybody that could possibly see it has to be fingerprinted, run through a background, all that. So that would also alleviate having it in one central location, you don't have to fingerprint anybody that could, walk by the office in town hall. There are also, other restrictions as far as, adult, arrested individuals versus juvenile arrested individuals. What they can and can't hear, there's very strict guidelines of the state as far as anybody that's in custody that's a juvenile. Can't possibly, they have to be outside of earshot and eyesight of any adult arrested. With the small office upstairs, you just can't meet that requirement. As far as inside, it would be an interview room / processing room. Chief's office, the officers room / desk for the administrative assistant for processing paperwork and things like that. As far as outside, I don't foresee any changes as far as the building, any major changes to the footprint of the building. The only thing that could be, there's 1 or 2 more cars a day that drive around the building on a normal day. But I don't foresee like any real impact other than a slight increase. You know, probably at any given time, 3 to 5 vehicles max utilizing the building, but that could be, the lower lot, the upper parking area. It would just depend on the circumstance.
Will you have a jail?
No.
Will you accept people from other jurisdictions? Like, do you ever have to hold anybody from another town?
No. No, that's all those guidelines, so I think for the sake of clarity, like another agency could come process somebody there, that would be fine. But as far as lodging, in the state of Vermont, that's all done by the Vermont Department of Corrections. There's very strict guidelines, with the Federal Bureau of Prison Standards and the State Department of Corrections standards, and none of those would be accommodated in a facility in a town this size for this department. So it would be strictly for processing a detention period sufficient to process a criminal arrest, and at which point, if they were lodged, they would be housed at Southern State in Springfield.
Could someone describe the parking capacity? I wanna make sure we dig into so that we understand the parking. As I see it, we have 3 different site plans, and maybe, I could tell you what I see with the site plans. We have the one which is the aerial image site plan, town of Weathersfield Police Station. And we have exhibit 11. Which is exhibit, I'm sorry, 12. 12 is one that's sort of blue colored. And it's an Ascutney professional building by Nolan. This is why I say with the site plans, this one shows, I think, what you were talking before at the site visit about how you have parking labeled on a plan.
Yeah, I'm going off the 2020 site plan.
What is that?
That one is that one.
By Nolan?
No, by Waysville Engineering, who needed the septic.
Yeah, okay.
Which exhibit number is that, Matt?
I don't have all the exhibits actually.
It's 17.
Yeah, I think so.
It's on the internet.
It's
You have no idea what's on the internet about you, Matt.
Yeah,
It's all there.
Everything.
okay,
There's actually ironically not a lot about me. And well hidden on the internet.
okay.
Anyway, which map are we looking?
Okay, so, well, I'm telling,
17 is what they thought.
okay,
17.
This is exhibit 17. No.
Give it a shot.
so 17 shows some parking. What 17 doesn't show, and do you want to step up here and look at this map?
Sure.
Then I'm
Would
going to.
it be helpful for the board if I printed off the different site plans?
Just
Yes,
what,
that's
the one that we're discussing.
we
that
got
you're-
it.
The applicant is proposing. Brandon, which one are you proposing?
Brandon?
What is that?
I'm sorry.
That's, I was trying to figure out where the sewer was going, because it shows the septic tank and the sewer pipe.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking it was coming out this building, sorry, yeah.
So the reason I said this was, I was struggling with.
Yep.
Is because it doesn't show a road.
And I don't know why that isn't on there, cause it's been there since the tender time, so.
Okay, well, this is an earlier.
Yes,
Like
they've.
landscape.
incorporated Other ones.
Yeah, and then going back to exhibit 12, I think this is the one that perhaps Jason used the parking for, but you see how.
No, I don't
you
have
can-
that in all of my files for that building.
Okay, this is here, exhibit 12, right?
Yeah.
And that would, this is the one that, from in exhibit 11. This is the one that looks like Jason used, where you have the parking here, but you don't go around the building.
Yeah, it's still quite a bit different.
You know,
It's really incorporate those two.
Well-
together.
12 looks like the closest.
I think this is the closest to reality.
Oh, I would agree with you there, originally
Exhibit,
with.
you on that?
Page 42.
It's exhibit 12.
Thank you. Yes.
17 was what they had done, before I had bought the property, when they were proposing the walkway down through, right? Or walking and driving.
Yeah,
through here,
yeah.
and getting rid of that road, I think that's why the reason that road is not there. Cause they were gonna incorporate all of this here and leave that road to green space, but I don't know what their reasoning was. I wasn't involved with it at the time.
Can we decide to go with number 12?
Number 12 would be accurate, except
What's the
for,
difference?
This is the,
The,
no, that's still the same.
Do we have the leach field on number 12? That's-
yeah,
If you do,
It's right
the
there.
only thing that's different is it shows the septic going into. The general store building,
okay.
that's the water.
no, there should be a septic, yes, cause it comes back out, right? Cause that's how it originally was.
Yeah, this is how, see the septic tank there?
Yep.
So I'm with you. Jason's plan better resembles the sewer connection.
Yeah, this one better
This one better
resembles
resembles
what they use
right?
for parking.
And we're more concerned with parking than sewer.
I think you need to incorporate both of those into whatever.
Whatever plan I make for you.
No, what you make for the town.
Oh.
I'm just technical support
That,
this.
that was just teasing. So, Ryan, do you see the items on the exhibit 12 that we're talking about?
Yeah.
So if tonight, if we're just trying to go. Parking space, right? If we're trying to identify the parking spaces,
Yep,
we have this exhibit that's already in one of the decisions. That shows the parking that's been allotted to this area. That we already have on file. And then we have the more modern site plan from Ryan that shows what I would say is less parking.
It's actually the exact same amount. Oh, it is, I haven't seen that, sorry.
Okay,
These two parking designs are the exact same numbers. So the site, one of the updated septic, so what, 12 and 17 have the same numbers for parking places.
And this will even have, because I don't have road spaces.
yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
street parking, 1, 2. Like. Maybe there's some on the other
I
side
can't
too.
decipher. It looks like they drew out spots over. And set spots over here.
It seems that there are 18 spaces. Do we all agree that there are 18 parking spaces?
Good question.
How
Well.
narrow are those parking spaces when you're saying on the lower level, 7 through 12?
So I guess my big question is 18 parking spaces sufficient? We have the police chief saying that 3 to 4 spaces is sufficient for the police station needs. How many spaces are necessary for the other 2 buildings, the garage that has the compost storage and the brick building with the frame addition?
11 for the brick building and 1 for the tenant.
Okay, so we have 11 plus 1 is 12. That leaves 6 for chief. So I would say if we can determine that there are 18 spaces, then that is adequate.
That the 3 spaces in front of this garage would interfere with that turnaround. Remember, we were here, there's a slope here and that corner. There was a real narrow space there, so,
That was also the way the chief was parked.
well, no, I meant the building behind it, not him. Cause when I was standing there, if someone's coming around. If they're a full-size truck, so. So I don't know that.
But these are 18 spaces in addition to the public parking that's parallel parking along a Scutney's,
I think we know the
a
number.
Scutney Park Road. So, as someone born in Manhattan, I'm in favor of parallel parking. So I think 18 spaces privately owned plus parallel parking along a Scutney Park Road for longer vehicles is adequate. Do we have a role in discussing the deplorable condition of the paving for elderly people who trip over broken pavement and may need to go visit the police chief? Because I wasn't really, it seemed to me there was enough room to park. How I was supposed to walk in there without falling flat on my face after I had parked was the part of it that puzzled me.
Now I'm gonna put some, my park can be paved. There was the road was going to be paved a number of years ago. There's kind of been a holdup because not knowing originally there were some other plans out there. So none of us had really advanced until at this point, and I don't want to speak for your town manager, but my plan is to pave that parking lot and we're going to, regrind the lower parking lot now that we got the stuff out of the lower parking lot. So that was gonna be regrind, which is reclaimed asphalt. And that walkway was going to be improved. Driveway that goes down between the barn and the other building.
Because that was my genuine concern, that if the public has to be accommodated in the lower parking area, you need to be able to walk safely around that building and to and fro where you park.
And that would be more for employees or people in the building if people were to visit the police.
But
station.
even, where the public would be parking, there's a lot of broken pavement.
Yes,
So, you're gonna pave, you plan to pave both sides? The driveway going in and the parking between the old post office and the
yeah, 'cause
management, whatever they are?
our plan was to pull out that concrete that somebody probably poured back when it was a dealership. Cause one, it's also very difficult to manage, ice in
Mm,
a segmented driveway like that.
mhm.
So you always have free water that flows. So the plan was to strip all that out, rip the entire driveway out on both sides of the building and pave, the existing top section.
The whole top thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Use reclaimed asphalt on the lower section.
As far as parking is concerned, with the two police vehicles parked in parallel behind the building. If you measured out to accommodate the minimum parking space sizes that are required and still have enough room for vehicles to maneuver around there when all the spaces are full.
So I've had people park where the chief is, the direction he's supposed to park, and my pickup is about, I think it's 18 inches short of the longest pickup truck they make. And I can still pull in and park up to the building, because I normally actually pull up and park in front of the overhead door of the building. If I go there to do work or a meeting, that's usually where I park, so. And I made it in and out of there easily.
But I saw in some of the material that there's parking space dimensions, minimum dimensions
Yeah.
are required. So
20 feet, I believe.
10 feet wide.
I'm thinking more about the width since they're gonna be parking parallel. And the cars, the handicap spot and the spot on the other side of the barn door are going to be parking head in. Is that going to leave enough room? Are there any minimum requirements for the pathway to maneuver around there? Like there are for parking spaces?
The bylaw doesn't have that, a minimum space between spaces. But the minimum parking space size is 10 by 20.
And your 10-foot wide is very generous with parking spots,
Yeah,
width wise.
right. So if you take that 20 feet plus setback from the building itself and the 20 feet coming out from the barn, how much is left?
Well, you're not parking 20 feet out from the police station. You're
But the
parking
parking
parallel.
space is 10 by 20.
Yeah, you're parking parallel with the police station.
Right, but the barn is perpendicular.
Yeah,
So that's gonna come out 20 feet.
yeah.
And the parallel parking is gonna come out 20 feet, so it'd be two 10-foot side by side.
No,
If you look at the
parallel
site
would
plan,
head in. Parallel would be parallel sideways to the building.
the officer parking will be perpendicular to the nosed in ones, the handicap and the other one.
Right.
So the officer parking would be about 10 feet off the building.
For each space.
Only the officer, because that's the one that's perpendicular to the other ones. If you look at the plan that I prepared, which was item 4.
4?
Yes, the spaces as shown on that are 10 by 20.
What is the distance between the police station and the waste management? I'm trying to figure it out on the scale.
It'd be about 40,
40 feet? Thank you.
maybe approximately.
If I can do it before my phone dies, I can probably give it to you exact.
Okay, so
Okay, so
the only space likely in question up against the barn is the one to the right of the door. So that's coming out 20 feet. And officer parking is gonna be 2 vehicles side by side or 1?
I think that's one.
I heard 2 somewhere.
I heard
They're
too.
not- They're not gonna be side by side, they're gonna be more. Like,
Offset.
no, it would be one straight line, so it wouldn't necessarily have to be too wide, it'd have to be too.
How wide is the building?
30 feet.
But if the parking spaces need to be 20 feet long. You're going head to tail, that's 40 feet. Should they be extending past the corners of the building?
One space would probably be sufficient.
Or down below.
Right, and worst case, if you've got to park down below, you park down below. Yeah, I hope people are spending as little time in the office as possible.
But I'm just saying, are we talking about 1 space there or 2?
I believe there's only room for one space there.
Okay.
I think there's enough
It's
parking.
45 feet between
35?
45 feet between.
Okay, that's better, because that leaves about 15 feet for someone to drive through, if one's parked like this and one's like that.
12 foot is a double drive-through
Right,
for an
okay,
access road.
that's better. I think there's enough parking spaces on the property, it's just. I don't think you can put 2 police cruisers behind there, longer than the building.
After you pave that upper area, would you consider some painting stripes to improve right now it's sort of chaotic and there's no sense to it, but you'd want to make sure that the cruisers had the priority to do that
Yeah.
So you could also consider painting that and then when you guys pulled in, you'd be in that no parking except for emergency vehicles around the building.
Which they could take that the exit right there, they could also take that as. It's not needed for an exit for the rest of the building. The rest of the building usually goes in and out the other side.
To the north.
Yes.
The other thing, Andrea, you pointed out was that right now, the accessible spot that's marked on the plan. It's like, it's on the drop off, which,
Trying to find the picture.
if the passenger's getting out, that's sort of good. Is
They're
there,
made that way, it's right-hand handicap ramp, so if they pull in, the handicap ramp would let off to the right and not to the left.
towards the door? They would get off.
Into the main flat part of the driveway there.
When you do the pavement, are you gonna change the grade? You're not gonna change the grade? The other thing that we talked about, just big picture with this site plan is, as I read the application, that there's no other improvements proposed. Right, so you're not doing any grading, you're not changing any of the site, you're talking about paving, repaving existing surfaces. Is that still correct?
We're not changing anything outside except for at some point paving, yes.
What about lighting? What's currently there and what would change if anything?
What's currently there is lighting for a sign for when it was originally the post office. I think they're probably the last one to use the light where the sign was, and this predates me at Brennan. So but there's a light for sign up top of the building. There's lights around the outside, and that's where that's gonna be up to what he needs. Do you need a lit call box or? know they're requiring some stuff, but not.
I don't know that it would have to be lit. And I don't know that you actually have to have one. But a call box, would definitely on the exterior or accessible. Through the exterior would be a good idea.
And if they want to change the lighting, we change like wall pack cutoffs. I think right now they're floodlights, that are around the exterior of the building.
And are they primarily directed down
Yeah.
to minimize the disruption of the night skies?
So there's no plan to put the lighting anywhere on that lower level? Because if the main roadway, like in front of the building, doesn't, if it's snowed in and it's icy, somebody needs to park somewhere else. If they should happen to park down there, if it's at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock, it's getting dark. Is there any?
There's a motion light, which I don't think is even operable at this point on the back side of the barn, which was originally for that, that could be, something could be done there, but like I said, in 2.5 years, after we worked, I've never seen anybody park down in that area.
But once you pave it, they will.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would think they're gonna have to park down there. I mean, Mark has a lot of employees, so.
They mostly work remote
Uh-huh.
unless they come for a meeting, and most of the time they park on the street.
All right.
Unless it's a couple, like a secretary and maybe Jason, one of the main, well, actually Jason parks in the street most of the time too. But once you pave it, like she said, they'll, more of them will park there. I mean, the market, right? But they leave that more accessible, so if somebody's coming to meet the mark office, or they leave more room in the parking lot for other people.
One thing that we do as part of this site plan review is lighting.
Yep.
Right now, the site plan doesn't show any. I saw one email that I think you sent that says, yeah, we want to have security lighting. I just want to clarify, so this is when we approve lights, or we have another hearing to approve lights. And it seems to me like around a police station, this would be something that you'd want to have figured out. I mean, it feels like not realistic to me to say we could probably do without lights.
Well, there's
You're gonna-
pre-existing lights there.
Okay, oh,
So
There's already pre-existing lights on the building.
but they're floodlights.
Yep.
like, would you say there's 4, like one on each side, or you said there's a sign light?
There's a sign light, which wouldn't comply right now to, sign standards,
Right.
because it's, it just wouldn't comply to modern sign standards. And then there's, I believe, 3 sides of the building has floodlights, and then there's street lights too, that are out on the street, right?
There's no lights on the north side of the building.
No,
There's a sign light on the front. There's 2 floodlights next to the door, which is labeled the public entrance, which would be the southern side of the building that's right next to the door, and a larger floodlight above that. And then on the, what would be the southwest corner, towards the handicap spot, there's a floodlight on that corner. 2 bulbs, one facing towards the parking spaces and one towards the exit.
Could you say that one more time? I'm trying to sketch these when you said that. I got the 3 over the door.
Right, yeah, 2 next to the door, and then the one that's up higher, and then there's a double floodlight on that southwest corner.
So how do you see on the north side? Right now, you don't see any,
I don't think there's any on the north side.
There isn't any on the north side of the place. There's. Nope.
In. Was there one entrance?
one door
One door
in and out of the building.
Yeah.
on the south side, southeast side? Where
But
we
for that,
went?
don't for this, he'd like a north door. If he was gonna have it, so we could put a. You should ask for a light now for that.
Yeah, my thought on the lights is, you know, maybe adding one on that north side, but more towards the front. But I don't know the technical term for them, the lights that basically just direct it down. Just something so that on the interior cameras, you can see A, who's at the door. B, that somebody's at the door. But also just for walking, I'm not too worried about, you know, like. Skyward threats, like you, and as she had stated, you know, just seeing where you're walking. So I don't know that I wouldn't want to use floodlights, so to speak, just. Like more of the ones that just direct it. Well, yeah, like down, partial or full coming down. Where you're walking and hey, there's somebody at the door, both for service and safety, reasons.
Okay,
It seems like Brandon, maybe do you want to speak to this? Because I had asked the question and the email that's in the exhibits basically says that there wasn't going to be any change to lighting or any lighting used.
We have no intentions of changing the lighting right now. I think it's something we can look at in the future, unless the DRB disagrees.
So the lighting that's there, my understanding was that you weren't going to use it at all.
Correct.
you're not gonna use it?
the pre-existing lighting?
Excuse me, what was that again? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Who was that?
Brandon, it's Matt, you would use the pre-existing lighting that's there.
Correct. Yes, we just weren't looking at changing any lighting.
Yeah, you weren't looking at changing or adding.
Yes, adding or changing lighting. We, I think the chief and I can look into this further in the future and make a plan for lighting if we need it. But based on my understanding of the building, I didn't see a need for lighting right now. However, that may change. And like you said, Todd, we can come back and discuss lighting at a future meeting, correct?
Yeah, we can. I mean, ideally, the way that this works best, presuming that the board is, everybody's in favor of voting this forward when we have our deliberative session. It's really great to have the light exhibits now. Because it doesn't take all that much effort, and then it's not us putting conditions, like you have to come back for it. It's really great to give it a little bit of thought now, put it on here. We all know what the fixtures are. Ryan's sort of proficient in that now, where we have the full cutoff lights. You put them on the plan, and then you never have to deal with us again. Because there could be otherwise there's a lot of exaggeration in what I might imagine. And so my choice now is to write down what you said, no change. I accept that. Or I envision in my mind what it looks like around every police department that I ever see, which is great big lights. And that feels like potentially a big effect on the people who sleep next door and across the street. So if I don't have anything kicking around in my imagination, then it's very easy for us to give you a permit for exactly what you propose. That's my suggestion for the lights.
And when we were looking at the existing lights, we believe that the existing lights are sufficient. However, after operating the building for some time, we may find that we want to propose changing the lighting, for example.
I think it would be a good idea to think now about whether the sign will be lit, whether there needs to be a call box, whether that should be lit. And if we're gonna approve this parking design, think about lighting from the building down to the lower parking area, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the winter when it's icy and it's really dark.
Do you imagine a scenario where you would ever put bollards down through there?
No.
Is there just the one entry and exit?
Yeah, because the plan, right now, I believe there's one, but the plan calls for a second entry, a police entry and a public entry.
That's
Then-
on the north side.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to have lighting at both entries.
That's where I was recommending they should ask for a light for a wall pack. But I'm also the building owner, not the applicant, so I can't speak for what they want to do.
Well, you either ask for it now or you go through this all over again. So I don't know. I know what I would do.
I'd give some thought to it right now.
Okay, I do agree that there should be lighting at both entryways of the building. However, I don't think we have the same vision, Todd, with the lighting being disturbing to the neighbors.
That's great. I just couldn't tell. So that's all we're trying to clarify.
Brandon, if I was in your shoes right now, I would probably ask for a wall cutoff or wall pack with a partial cutoff. I don't know I read some of your standards, but I don't know what all your standards are with that, but I would ask for that on the north side of the building and then use the existing light that you have now with the building. And if you want to change that, it would only I don't really, probably I would ask for that one light because you already have light on the other side of the buildings. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I did hear you, Matt. Ryan, is that an acceptable? Can we proceed with that?
Well, it's up to the board whether they want to accept that, but basically the fixture that needs to be mounted would be a full cutoff dark sky compliant fixture.
Yep.
And if you're saying you want it to be mounted over the door, what the standard that it has to meet is it can't illuminate another property and it can't illuminate the public road or cause glare from those other buildings.
Check.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, send it to me.
You mentioned that the existing sign lights are compliant. What about all the other existing lights?
The existing lights there, unless they change, or correct me if I'm wrong, they are pre-existing. The sign light, though, they would need to apply to Ryan for a sign permit.
Right.
And I know that sign applications, and I don't know, I didn't read your sign regulations, but you can't have upward lit signs, I don't believe in any towns.
No.
And that was an upward lit,
Was it? I thought it was down.
I believe it was an upward lit something.
And we grandfather in existing non-compliant lighting, even on a change of use?
That was not my impression.
So a condition would be bring all the existing lighting into compliance.
Yes.
And at the time the sign is applied for, we would check that those standards are met. It looks like the light is mounted above that green space where a sign would go.
Yep. That's correct.
So can we move on from lighting in that the applicant has the option right now of proposing to sketch up a lighting plan for us to entertain later? Or right now, you have two choices, stick with the plan, like we're leaving everything the way it is, but we want the one extra light that will comply. Or perhaps the better non-plan option would be, we want to have this additional light, here's where it's gonna be. It's gonna comply with the bylaws, and each at the other lights, we will replace the fixture so that it complies with the bylaws. That at least give us some direction to consider if we decide not to continue the hearing tonight. You guys can decide amongst that, but let's move, we don't need that decision right this moment. But does anybody have any new items with lighting?
So, Todd, one more thing on the lighting. From my understanding and talking with Ryan, and from my understanding of talking with the chief and also Matt, I was under the impression that we could come back later to focus specifically on lighting if we were to propose any changes.
When you say later, you mean like in 2 weeks, or do you mean like in 2 years?
I'm thinking like within the next 90 days, 90 to 120 days, after we've had a chance to get.
After we've already issued the decision, or
The decision based on the application that you have before you tonight?
yeah,
Correct.
yeah, I'll answer this honestly how I would anybody. That's why you can propose this application, and we walk away here, and then during our deliberative decision, we decide whether or not you meet the zoning bylaws.
And if you don't have a lighting plan, you probably won't meet the zoning bylaws.
And so what we will do is we'll look at the exhibit you've provided, which is your narrative.
I see.
And we'll decide whether it meets the bylaw.
Yeah, so I think the answering the question is more like, it's a sort of it's more like a courtesy question. Cause it takes a lot of time and effort for the board to have these hearings. And so to the extent that we don't make what are really minor changes have to go through a hearing again, it's beneficial, but that's only like a sort of a thoughtful courtesy that you would extend to us. We expect the applicant sort of knows what the plan is, but nothing in our decisions ever say you can't come back. That's right. You can come back.
And I was looking at the expense side of things and adding lighting right now, whether that makes sense for the owner. And you guys are saying, or you're saying, Todd, that the existing lights may not be compliant with the zoning bylaws. Is that right?
That's right. But more importantly, there may not be enough right now. There might not be enough for the use you're proposing. And so by taking a stab at what you think might be enough, you'll have, right now, the extra expense would be the electrician and the one fixture that we know you probably need. Right? And then the question is, what's the cost of those other fixtures to just upgrade them? I'm only listening to Ryan say that they're spotlights. And there isn't really a case anymore where we approve spotlights.
How about we just move all those to cut off, although it will limit lighting, but we'll put all those to full cutoffs, and then if they choose that they don't think that's enough light, they can come back and talk to you about a better.
I think that's a good idea, Matt.
Because it's not a big deal to change all those cutoffs right now.
And you're only covering 10, 15 feet anyway, right? That's how wide the driveway is.
Yes. And I believe, don't we have streetlights out there? For some, when I'm there at nighttime, I feel like there's a ample amount of light out there.
I see one in the in Ryan, in your image, you can see that looks like a street light because there's a shadow casted over the sidewalk.
Maybe there's a light on top of the flagpole.
Are you gonna outsmart everybody by just looking out the window? Ryan's on the internet.
For meetings late, I feel like there's been quite a bit of light.
That's any other lighting.
Yeah.
That's the flag.
Yeah, there's one
Every
off,
light
like,
is-
this-
it's-
It's like flag.
I don't see a street light, but we'll see what he comes back with.
That's, yeah.
That's fine. I didn't see anything. There's nothing on it. Well, there's.
The police officer's just gone out to look for a light, Brandon.
Okay.
And I just put down on my notes, based on the comment of the owner and you, that the sort of the revised proposal is to replace the fixtures with ones that comply with our bylaws and add one over the new door.
Yep,
That's
I think that's fine.
And the signage, that we'll leave that to Brian and or when they apply for a sign for whether they're gonna, there's a power there, there's a light, you guys can iron that one.
We actually, Ryan actually can do that, because we don't do signs.
No, I know that.
He asked us to, so.
That's why I said to Ryan could handle that.
Okay. I'm gonna wait for him to come back, because I think most of my last questions are just loose.
So the ample lighting appears to be coming from light fixtures on either adjacent property.
Well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There is lighting, it's just on either side.
So your lighting plan could be replaced with ambient. If somebody doesn't pay their.
We're just gonna do full cutoff that way. At least that building is.
Compliant.
Yeah.
And it's compliant.
I would also to answer a previous question of the lit wall box, that you know, standardly with most police departments is somewhere, you know, within a couple feet of the entrance. So the current lighting would sufficiently illuminate it.
And a lit call box is like this and it's only blue light. When you I'm sure when you've gone to campuses with children or whatever, gone places, you've seen these lit. It's just it's an LED light that draws if you were ever in distress, you would know where to look.
So
I don't believe it has to be lit though, I think it just has to be illuminated.
a call box adjacent to public entrance.
Yeah, it would be somewhere, I would have to look at the building and see the phone lines, but it would be somewhere right near the public entrance. I don't believe, I think for those that you see at like colleges and stuff, I believe the emergency phone, because it will dial direct to dispatch. I believe it just has to be illuminated, I don't believe it has to itself emit a light.
This is just like a phone.
It is, you pick up a phone, there's no dialing or nothing, you just pick up a phone and that rings right to whoever the
Pizza.
dispatch is. Yeah.
It's if somebody's in distress and can't
It's like the call box
Yeah.
along these.
think correctly. and-
If you insulate at night, weirdly enough, I once was followed from like Newport, New Hampshire to Gravelin Road. And the plan in my mind was to keep driving to Springfield and pull into the police department.
No, like north entrance.
They're at the medical center building at 100 River Street in Springfield, those little, if you're ever in the parking lot, you'll notice them.
Do you,
Look for them.
do you have any flow requirement? Do you have to sprinkle the building? Is there any fire suppression that you have to do?
I don't,
Don't believe
I
so.
don't believe so, because there's not gonna be,
It's under the square footage requirement. Dedicated to that.
Okay, are there any, like, what's your plan for waste? Like, what, I don't know how a police station works, but I imagine maybe there's like hazardous materials or like your pepper spray or people's blood. How do you manage that? Just regular waste stream?
Can I answer that for you?
yeah.
I handle, so I own Alva Waste. I handle, so bloodborne pathogens go into, like, if they're like heavy, they go into bloodborne pathogen boxes and we get sent out. But for like sharps and things like that, those all come to us from like Springfield PD, Springfield Fire. All they do is swing in and they get put, well, they put them, whether it's in a soda bottle or whatever, they would just bring to our facility and drop off. And that would be extended because they have, Weathersfield has a contract with us already. They just don't, police department right now to serve that. So there's 14 towns that bring that stuff to us.
So at this site, there's not gonna be a dumpster for you guys or outside?
Not that I'm aware of it, we, if, when the trash gets full, they take it out.
The town hall, I believe, gets picked up, Brandon, what, Mondays?
Yeah, and I believe we'd have two cans out there, right? All right. Well, there's two cans out there right now.
Well, those are those are the tenant upstairs, but
I
the
see.
regional
Okay.
planning has trash cans there too. But I didn't know if you were gonna treat it like you treat the town hall and some other spots where the 1 ton picks up once a week.
I don't see why we couldn't do that, but I'd have to talk to Ray.
But the station could potentially have a can outside like the other tenants, right?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
that's what I envisioned. However, we could schedule a pickup as well. I just need to coordinate that.
Will there be anything outside the building that would be an exterior alarm, a buzzer, a ringer, like a microphone, like no, no noise, like outside fire departments and
No, I don't see any need for.
I did not have a plan for any of that.
okay.
So I have a question relating to that. So when you have an emergency, at what point do you typically turn on your sirens?
When they're needed.
But I mean, like, if you're called and you're like on the road right there, because do you see, if you're turning on your sirens immediately at that turn off, there's 2 residential homes on both sides, so I don't know if that's an issue at all.
There's no set time.
Right, of
You would,
course.
you would turn them on when you need them.
Or, I mean, is it possible to like delay them till you're actually on the show? That doesn't make sense either. I don't know.
You
You
do it like when you get close to the intersection of Route 5 and 131.
Right, it would depend on, so you have to drive with due care anyway, so I wouldn't turn them, in the driveway.
Okay, that's what I asked you, I guess.
It would be,
because-
yeah, public highway, and hopefully it would be nobody. Not a whole lot of traffic in the driveway, but.
Yeah, but that's like if the state police officers living on Graveland Road and they park their state police cruiser at their personal home.
Mhm.
And they get a call, they're gonna take off then.
Yeah.
You know,
Right, you only use a sign of traffic if there's. not
right, but the lights will
traffic.
be going or something,
Generally, yeah.
yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of them in 5 years, so. Yeah.
There was a time when we had 3 state police officers living in Weathersfield.
Okay, Ryan, is there a community impact questionnaire? Did we do one?
No, we did not.
You have it looks like I read an email that says we probably need an Act 250 permit amendment.
Yeah, the result wasn't clear. They wouldn't give me an answer. I think basically, I guess we could just read it. I have to tell you.
Yeah, I gave,
Yeah, what was going on there?
They've been less than helpful.
Well, at the end of the application, it said it expired in 2015 unless they can, but it looks like it's, or, sorry, I lost that now. Like towards the end of the paper.
My gut is that you will need a permit, yeah, this is in exhibit 14.
This is 14.
And,
I just read it.
okay, where are we, or we was Peter's gut,
15.
thank you. No, it was 14,
Do you want me to read it?
yeah.
Well, so my question, so I said, it appears that no changes are proposed to the site. Any change to the building will be interior. That was before we had this conversation about lighting, which was different from my original understanding. He said, my gut is that you will need a permit amendment to convert the building to a police station. I suspect you will need to make some modifications to parking in the exterior of the building to accommodate such a unique type of use. Although we are not generally concerned with interior changes if a wastewater permit is required or if the changes will otherwise affect the criteria such as with respect to traffic or noise, then a permit amendment will be needed for those changes. We can provide a jurisdictional opinion about that when we have a more concrete plan, but I want to give you a heads up here.
I don't anticipate traffic or noise being issues. Because, oh, well, let me ask, because this is very strange to me. It was always a place of business. It was always a car dealership, a retail store, or a post office. And then suddenly it became a residence, but I can't see any permitting that changed it to a residence. The permit trail that is with this application, as far as I could tell, ended in 2015 when it was still a retail store. So I would assume that there is less traffic and noise with the proposed use of police station, I think so, than there would be with retail store. Or post office.
That was my same
What's up?
instinct, Grace.
You're got.
But because we lost the paper trail in 2015, I could never see that it was converted to a private residence. Is it still considered to be retail store? What's his current status?
Well, technically it would still be because we've never completed but it was, what,
In 2023 or 22 or something like that, I issued a permit to change it to a single family residence.
You did, okay, I missed that.
And I guess it's kind of a gray area. It doesn't explain in the bylaws whether the issuance of that permit is what changes the use. Certain uses, they wouldn't change automatically. They would need a certificate of occupancy. In our bylaws, we don't require a certificate of occupancy for residential uses. So whether or not the use is currently that most recent permit or what it was most recently used as, I don't know. I think this permit trail was copied from when I issued that residential permit.
Okay, so
From
there
before.
is a residential permit. So
it
my,
wasn't 23, was it? You did that permit in 24, correct?
Was it?
That's
I don't
not
remember.
in our packet.
it's not in our packet that I could find. So that's my question. That I don't think we'll need anything to address traffic or noise if the current use is a retail store. We might need it if the current use is a home.
It's never been used.
But somebody issued a permit.
Which technically, I think that permit probably is expired at this point.
How can you have an expired permit for residential home?
Because if you don't, we haven't completed it, isn't your permit, don't you have a?
It expires in 1 year if it's not complete or if it hasn't been started and it expires in 5 if it was not complete but started within the first year, that is really useful for something where it's being constructed, but for use type permits, it doesn't really tell you when the construction began or ended.
But this is a completed permit, you issued it, you said.
Right, the permit has been issued.
So does that cancel out the prior use of store?
That is the gray area where the bylaws don't speak to that. It would be a decision by this board as they're considering this application.
Okay. Good.
So it was number 13 for the Act 250. It's on page 3, item number 18. And it states this permit shall expire on October 15, 2015, unless extended by the District Environmental Commission. So it doesn't say that there's a period of time. You can probably just request that it be extended based on, because I think that was the discussion, is that we're using this information with the Act 250. We'll see. Page 3.
Didn't make Act 250 expired, but.
No, that,
So,
I think we're talking about two.
so that's why.
Wouldn't it be nice if yours had?
Okay,
Yeah, but I know a lot about Act 250 and I'm pretty sure Act 250 never expired.
The
Yeah.
expiration that's included in those permits is talking about the construction portion.
Yeah.
Not the jurisdiction.
yeah, so
It takes forever.
it's not expired because it was definitely a retail store.
Maybe not with that, and that was Annis Group, that
Yeah.
was. When they did the apartment, the apartments predate that.
So the jury is out on whether you need an Act 250 permit. If you do, you're probably gonna need a site plan that is got a lot of the things that we talked about tonight on it. The A&R mapped river corridor is showing up on your data viewer. It, we don't have any. There's no automatic jurisdiction that they have, right? You identified it, but have you reached out to anybody there?
I haven't reached out. My understanding is that if construction was proposed in the corridor, then the state regulates that. We don't have a local regulation related to that.
But the area is all wetland, so if we're doing anything within 50 feet of it, we would need a wetlands
Right, within 50 feet of the
permit.
line. Yeah.
And then the wastewater permit that you have, presumably you'll revise that with a change of use. That's a thing.
It actually was for commercial, the permit. It was for a hair salon.
Well, so the permit, the wastewater permit, maybe I didn't read it fully, but I don't think it even talks about the use of the building. It just says that it's an after the fact relocation of the septic tank. That's what that permit talks about.
Jason, I believe, did a flow study and stuff for what was required, and of course, for residential, we require a higher flow, but that, you can answer that, right, Todd? Nah.
I could, but I don't know where it ended up, so. Whatever they have, whatever the water wastewater management division has for your use. If you're not in that use, you amend the permit. And the permit that he got was a permit to relocate the septic tank. That's it. It's
So
not
it's
even,
probably still listed, whatever commercial it was before.
yep,
It does say all conditions set forth in PB 2/1065 shall remain in effect.
yeah. So that's like the ancient version of the WW permit. So that one would have whatever the use is, I suspect. And I don't think there'd be a problem. You're not gonna use a lot of water and wastewater. Being a couple people in the office compared to a residence.
I don't know.
those were my questions. Does anybody have any other questions?
No,
I had a question about the landscaping, we didn't cover it.
I'm ready. Or they're ready.
For commercial, this is really as a public space, it's considered commercial. It says 30-foot setback or a 4-foot high solid fence. I don't know how well that would go. Are the neighbors, do they just kind of leave things alone? Because there's also an option for you to do landscaping and planting that can just be sort of, I don't know what the easiest method. I think that side.
you mean the side toward the pipe frame building?
What?
The pipe frame
Yes,
building, the
yes.
former Stratton store, yeah.
Not sure I'd be allowed to plant trees that close.
Yeah.
And that's what I was about to say, in between the driveway and the property line, there's really no room that I could see.
I think that would cause probably undue effects with the neighbor.
The other place that I considered that was the lower parking area
Yeah.
where it's set down. I looked at whether it made sense to put a fence there. The retaining wall is 4 feet, or it's over 4 feet in most sections. There's one place where there's a block lower, which is less than 4 feet, at the southern end of that lower lot.
But then our land also pitches up to that house, so you're probably 5 or 6 feet.
On the other end.
Yeah.
On the other half.
There was actually some white cedars that were along that building that he actually cut down previous to me buying it. I just, because they ended up in the lower lot.
So
you said, sorry.
Yeah, so what would you propose, Andrew?
Oh, no, I was just wanting to address it. But that lower, so I was just writing down, the lower parking area has a 4 to 5 foot wall. So that accomplishes that. And then we would just have to waive that because it's a.
I think
it's a
we'd have to
requirement,
waive
so there's really no option, but I think we should address it that we acknowledged it and.
We acknowledge that the existing landscaping or lack of landscaping is the best solution.
We have also adopted internally, we've adopted this guidance for Ryan. For simple projects where there's no proposed change outside the building. And the idea is, like for new projects. And applications with a physical change to a building or new building, so. For new things and existing things that change the outside, then we're gonna review the landscaping. Provisions but in this case, we're not proposing to make those changes. So by our thought of simplifying some of these applications. At least my understanding of how we want to do it is not to review that criteria. Not to require a landscaping plan for those applicants.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we wouldn't entertain one, and that doesn't mean it's a good idea, not a good idea.
I agree.
Well, I would just suggest that we address it because 3513 does say non-residential parking lots shall be effectively landscaped in accordance with the bylaws. So I think we have to address it because it's a requirement. Of course, we have full authority to waive it since it's just not possible, and they fulfill it on the lower level.
And what the board decides to do with that should be determined in a
Right.
deliberative session.
Yeah, I see that where if I was looking at the town and I was in a butter because they live there, I'd want the screening between.
Yeah.
The parking and the house, but in this case, they're right, they're
Exactly.
It's already there. The parking. Already there.
Does anybody from the public or anybody in the audience have any more questions or comments?
How big is that lot, Tom?
It's pretty, it's
Two,
two acres.
just five
Actually,
there.
bigger than that, you know?
The lister's record said 2 acres.
Anything else? Anything from the audience or Brandon? Rika?
No, thank you guys all for your time.
Yeah, so
I appreciate it.
I think right now at this point, I will, sort of put it to the applicant. If you want to clean up any of these exhibits, we could continue the hearing and then take those exhibits at the next hearing. Or if you would like, I'm sort of ready to close the hearing. If you don't want to give us any more exhibits, we could close the hearing tonight. So it,
I just want to confirm we're using that one number 12 for the parking.
I'm afraid we've got a hybrid of, we've got some of that, some of Ryan's. And some notes, so we really don't have. We really don't have a site plan that sort of shows the site plan in the detail that we would hope. And so, but it's not a big stretch. This is not a complicated site plan. So that would be an option for you guys to pursue, and lighting was the other thing that you could do if you chose to. We could continue. But if you don't want to, if the applicant doesn't want to do those two things, then I'll close the hearing. Yeah.
Well, Matt did.
What?
He's technically not the applicant, but he did.
I think we're ready to move forward, Todd.
Okay.
One of our biggest goals here was to cut down on costs, and that's why we didn't have a professional site plan. I hope that doesn't impact our ability to change the use of the building.
Okay, so I would like to, does anybody want to make a motion to close the hearing?
Sure, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second. All those in favor? Okay. You guys can stay if you want. We only have a couple more items on our agenda.
Oh, hang around.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I hang around for the warrants and the select board meeting.
Yeah.
See, thanks, I want to know them for the record. It's not 10:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need you to burn.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
My children might
Thank
want to
you.
see this.
Have a good night.
Yep, good night.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Yeah.
approval of meeting minutes. I only had one comment. And that was the second to last paragraph there.
On the first page?
First page,
Okay, yeah. First.
it's a quit, like I give up. Quit claim.
Okay, can you give me a hint what?
A Todd Hendinger, second to
Oh, yeah,
last
okay,
paragraph.
yeah, okay, yeah,
I quit.
yeah, that's okay,
That was it.
okay.
And I just had a comment that I thought that I asked Whitmore to discuss the trust because it distressed her a little and was like, sorry, it didn't.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
That initially where it says Todd asked for what about the trust, I thought I had asked her about the trust, but that's not a, that isn't a intention.
Was that on the same, on the same?
That first paragraph, that paragraph that you were talking about,
Same.
you
Oh, yeah, okay, so.
want me to change that?
Yeah, sure.
Anything else, anyone?
No,
No, I'm
good
good.
minutes.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes as
I'll
amended.
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Ryan, is there anything important you need to tell us? Otherwise, we'll.
Nope, this hearing's still going on for the town plan at the planning commission, be there next Monday.
Okay. And I think for the future agenda items, I'd like to continue, let's get a couple for the next hearing. Let's at least put a couple of the working items onto the agenda, because we can go through those pretty quick.
Or after.
I don't mind them doing before,
We're talking about rule of procedure,
yeah,
is that one of them?
Oh, let's do it after.
after.
Yeah, let's be polite to the applicant.
Okay, and I think it would perhaps be prudent to put the put an item on there for suggestions for protection of personal identifying information. Let's put that on an agenda for recommendations, so that in the time between now and then, if anybody has any more ideas or learns anything else, we can. It'd be really nice for us to hand off something to the select board if we had some recommendations. If anybody types them up, we can send that over.
Yes, we just need to find out if it's what is required, because.
Yeah, I wanna know what's required for open meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we're the ones, this is our hearing, we should be able to put it in there as a policy, because we are a hearing that we're redacting everything except for X, Y, and Z. You have to come into the office to. We'll notify it this way, so we just find out if that's okay, because.
So can you just ask the lawyer that
Mhm.
and get
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, get us an answer?
Or the, what's that organization you always ask?
VLCT.
Yeah,
And my question is, how can you distribute these enormous packets without putting them on the internet?
Well, do you think if we redact the personal information off the application, then the rest of these packets can be public? Because I think that they're public information if they're presented at the public hearing.
So let me give an example. One thing that DeForest brought up at select board meeting was that when people like us, were appointed to any committee or commission like a DRB, they used to put all of our personally identified information into the packet. And that when the packets went online, they stopped doing that. So what I'm saying obviously is you don't have to put it in the packet that goes online. But as far as I understand the public meeting, you simply have to say there will be a meeting on this date to discuss this, a permit or a subdivision or whatever. And this is the application number, and this is the property address.
Yeah, 3 years ago, we didn't.
Period. And then if somebody wants to look at the whole packet, they can come to the town office, the end.
3 years ago, for example, there was no such thing as here's the packet.
And so what I'm saying is, when you say redact it, you're giving yourself an enormous amount of work to go through how many pages, 100 pages.
And
Is
there are
in this
technical
packet.
limitations to redactions that can be unredacted. If they're
And-
not meticulous about it.
Exactly, and so
That would
to
be
just say
helpful.
redact the information is horrible to you. How many hours would it take you to go through there, and you're bound to miss something?
Mhm.
So all I'm saying is take the packet off. Shouldn't be,
Right.
Is it
but so then how do you distribute it to the 5 people and 2 alternates who need to see it.
You gotta email it.
Email.
You email it as a PDF, and that's what I, in my ignorance, thought was always happening.
There's also an option of, well, you'd have to ask
A
if it's
Dropbox.
possible. To give notice to where you get permission for that meeting, and we know what the code number is, it could be the hearing, you know what I mean?
Like for a
it's
huge
standard-
packet that you need to distribute, there's a Dropbox account or another account that only.
Wait, you said you didn't know anything about the internet.
Well, but, and
You know about Dropbox?
Well, of course I know that,
But that's a good one. Maybe you could come up with
But
a couple
there's a
ideas
way,
like that.
there is a way to privately share large files.
Because I think that's probably even better than email.
You can set up, password protected
that's what I was just
websites.
gonna say,
Or, user accounts where you have individual user IDs and
But
passwords.
the only, and there are other Dropbox-like programs,
Oh, yeah.
but there are ways to share it privately with a small number of people.
so instead of right here where it says, it's available for inspection at the town office, because it's not gonna be available online either, you can put or contact for a copy, contact the land use.
No, I'm sorry, go to the town office. Come on.
I don't agree with that. I understand that we need to do something, but I really like that anybody can look at what's going on. I'm a big advocate.
They
of
certainly
that.
can, they can go to the town office.
I think this discussion should be continued when it's on.
Yeah,
the
it probably should. It's late.
And as the secretary for the zoning and DRB for many, many years, they used to mail them out.
Well, we're not doing that.
No, I'm just saying, they used to mail them out, that's what I'm just saying, there was another time,
In town?
no, they used to
No.
mail them out to
To
the board
the DRB.
members and
Oh,
not
to
to
the
the.
DRB.
They went to the zoning board, I'm just saying, they never, years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, they. Okay, so are we adjourning? Looks like you have your chair. Okay,
Someone needs to make a motion. Did we make a motion?
nobody made a motion.
Usually
Are we
Grace
still
does.
recording?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Bet you are making the motions tonight there.
Okay, it's about all I said.
So,